What's going on, everyone? It's your girl, Rebecca Ruper here. Today on the show, we have Jahi Tucker. He's a very familiar guest on the show. We had him on a couple months ago when he was on the undercard of Berlanga versus Rolls. I was about to say Angulo because that was last week. But now he is on the undercard of BETERBIEV versus Joe Smith Jr. This is not going to be the first time or the second time that you fought in Madison Square Garden, Hulu Theater. This is going to be the third time. And you're not even of legal drinking age. I just have to put that in perspective for you guys. This kid's only 19 years old. What does that mean to you?
You know, it means the world to me. As a fighter, just as a kid growing up in New York, I mean, everybody's dream is to be at the Garden. Whether you're a rapper, whether you're playing basketball. For me, it was boxing, you feel me? And, like, to be able to be there and perform in front of my family, in front of my whole city, and Long Island, too, is now that to me. It's a beautiful thing, or...
Well, I don't know if I asked you this the last interview we had. When did you pick up your first pair of gloves and why?
I picked up my first, I walked in the gym when I was 7, but I picked up my first pair of gloves when I was probably about 3, 4, you know? And I have a lot of vivid memories when I was like 3 and 4, you know? Few and far between, but one thing I do remember is those small red boxing gloves, and my dad got me a little Mickey Mouse double end bag. Mickey Mouse double end bag.
They have that?
Yeah. But that's one thing I remember. We walked into the gym, age 7, Starter City boxing gym, you know. I had just moved to Starter City. And weeks go by, I start sparring, and God rest RIP Kenny Woods, you know. He was my first coach that really got me into fighting, who really made me believe, like, yo, you could be a fighter. He always tell me, yo, you could be a world champion, kid, when I was like 7, 8 years old. And he would, like, help me educate me on, like, boxing and history and help me become a student and really motivate me, you know.
Yeah.
So...
Well, having boxing be such an influence in your life at such a young age, do you think that it shapes the path that you're on today, besides the fact that you're a pro boxer, but just how you view life, your discipline, and all of that?
100%. You know, one thing I learned about boxing, it gives you a lot of discipline and teaches you, it matures you very fast, especially when you're playing on this high of a level. Yeah. You know, I meet people, I meet older guys, I meet guys my age, I meet younger guys, and I just, like, grasp everything, and it just really gives me a broader perspective on life itself. It's like boxing is life. In boxing, there's so many lessons in boxing that you could apply to life, and it's crazy. But I'm thankful that I chose boxing. Growing up, and because it taught me a whole lot.
Was there a moment in your amateur career where you realized this is what you were meant to do professionally?
When I was about 13, I had stopped fighting, and 13, 14, and I was about 15, and I was just chilling. And I was just sitting there one day, I was like, yo, I'm really good at this boxing stuff. I should pick it back up, you know? I figured I put all this work in from 7 to 13, and I was really good. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I might as well give it a try. And then after I won my first national, it really let me know, I belong.
Yeah, for sure. And now you're here. You're going to be on the undercard in Madison Square Garden. It's pretty big steps. And 13 years old, you started back up, so that's... 15 years old. Yeah. So, wow, like less than 5 years. Yeah. And all of that has changed for you. Yeah. So let's go back to your last fight, which was Berlanga versus Rolls undercard. I know we talked right after your fight, and you said that you wanted to work on your defense. Yeah. You wanted to work more of like throwing punches. You felt like you weren't throwing as much. Yeah. And the other thing was defense, throwing more, and then you said like just to kind of calm it down a little bit. Yeah. How did you apply that in your fight camp this time around to get you ready for next week?
Well, I'm always my hardest critic, you know. After going back over the fight, I looked and I kind of changed my perspective on the fight as well. Oh. I looked and I seen from the 1 to 3, I was pretty good. 4, I did pretty good as well. I felt like I faded out 5 and 6. But also, I took it as an experience that, it's my first time going 6 rounds. So this fight camp, I worked on not fading at all. I worked on, instead of sparring 6 and 8 rounds, I started sparring 12-round sessions, you know? Wow. And just working on just being able to hold that pace throughout the whole fight. And also not starting off so early. I mentioned, like, 1 to 3, I did my thing. But I kind of want to, like, shift it over, you know? Like, work my way up, and then by rounds 3, 4, 5, 6... pick it up on them.
It kind of seems like your beginning fights, it's more you still had that amateur mindset of like, I have to put out so the judges see as much as possible. Exactly. And now you're kind of getting your professional boots on. Okay, awesome. If you could describe how this weekend's fight's going to go for you in one word, what would that be?
Dominance, you know. I never predict a knockout. You never know what your opponent does, how much punishment he can take. But one thing I can assure you guys is I'm gonna dominate, like regardless of whatever happens, you know. Yeah.
Well, what do you think, talking about your opponent this weekend, do you know anything about him? How do you believe you have the competitive advantage over him?
Well, I mean, he's 11-1, you know, 6 foot from Georgia. So, like, a lot of those fighters out in Georgia are really strong, you know. So, I mean, he's definitely going to be a good fighter, a good name under my belt. I just feel like I'm the best fighter in the world, and I just got to go out there and prove it every time in and out, no matter who's in the ring.
Awesome. And now talking about the main event before we go into our little game, BETERBIEV versus Smith Jr. Who do you got for that fight?
I got to go with Joe Smith, Strong Island.
I was going to say New Yorker at heart, yeah. We're going to go into our little game. Sometimes I do a segment called Unboxing the Boxer where you pull out questions out of a green box. Okay. This time we're going to change it up for this weekend's fight, and we're going to have you use the fight ball. Have you ever used this before?
Yeah.
All right. You got this? Oh, it's taking off the glasses. Yeah. It's about to get real. You're crushing. You're crushing. Okay, it was 35. Would you rather travel to space or to the bottom of the ocean?
I'm going with space, you know. Yeah, I'm going with space. You feel me? I gotta go with space.
Yeah, bottom of the ocean seems scary as hell.
Yeah, like, no, I'd definitely be interested in the bottom of the ocean, but I just feel like it's a lot more in space, you know? Okay. I learn a lot more. Like, if I could go to the bottom of the ocean completely unscathed, just chilling, just, you know, I definitely would. But space sounds crazy, though. I'm out to space. Okay.
All right. That was 11? Okay. If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
Invisibility. Or either invisibility or being able to, teleport. Okay. I'd get out of any jam at any given moment, you know? Yeah, yeah. You don't see me, bro. I'm out of here.
I like that. Yeah. All right. Let's do another one. All right. Okay, 12. If you could watch one fight ringside, what would it be?
Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali.
Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali?
Yeah, both in their prime. Early, late 80s Mike versus, pre-jail Muhammad Ali.
Ah, 30. I like this one. If you could go back to your 13-year-old self, what piece of advice would you give?
If I go back to my 13-year-old self, I just tell him be patient, you know, and be thankful, you know, be grateful for where you are. Or
I like that a lot. All right. Well, on that note, if you want to shout out any of your social media, any sponsors, fans, any messages, feel free to do that now.
Shout out. Well, follow me on Instagram at whois_Jahi Tucker. Follow me on TikTok at whoisJahi Tucker. Follow me on Twitter at wJahi Tucker. Shout out my sponsors, Huntington Honda, ProFit Gym on Deer Park, best gym in Long Island. Shout out J-Prince Boxing, Top Rank. Shout out my family. Shout out Showtime Shaw. Shout out World Combat. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jahi, and best of luck on Saturday.
Likewise.